Yep. And welcome back to Talkin' Sports. And boys, I got good news. Sports are back. Big time back. Baseball did it this weekend. We had opening day and we had the series wrapping up. We got the last game going on right now. The Braves slaughtering the Mets. And we got news from elsewhere in the sports world. We've got the bubble going off for basketball. Lou Williams seen other places. And we had a big NFL trade. Jamal Adams finally gets his wish and he gets out of town. I'm with Keith McPherson, Bobby Skinner. Let's do it. Let's talk sports.
And your dog.
Noodles like, yeah, get me on the pod.
Oh, dude, there's hey, welcome back to Talking Sports. But yeah, there's
You have two dogs in there, right?
Live riot or something going on outside the window just as it started.
Oh.
What's going on out there? Any idea?
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, so
marching down our
we're live right now. We're
Go grab your laptop and go jump in there with us.
We're
We'll virtual.
protesting or we're getting attacked or we're getting involved,
Ooh.
but I know we're talking sports either way.
Marcelo Zuna bomb. And now the Braves are up 12-1.
Tough. It's
11-1.
always there's going to be a lot of tough talking sports episodes for Mets fans. I'm going to kick it to you guys while Noodle checks out the rally. How you boys doing? I had a pretty good rush earlier that it's like, yo, sports are back.
Yeah, man, it's good. Like you said, sports are back. It was nice Friday night after work to get home, watch the Yankees didn't play on Friday night, but watch baseball. Kick on to the NBA a little bit, and then Saturday, hang out, just flip between games. Watch the Yankee game at the end of the day. And then today for me, I went to go to the beach, come home, take a shower, and then you just kick on sports, man. It's nice. It feels like we're getting back to real life.
It's awesome, man. I had some deep thoughts this weekend, and it's crazy how much of a sports person I am. You guys are. We all are. And just the fact that baseball was back this weekend, I was just like, it made me really appreciate everything, and it made me really think about the fact that none of this shit is granted. We don't get to have this all the time. Things can get shut down. When I was a kid, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that there would ever be a time I'd be a grown man and not be able to watch baseball, basketball. And the fact that it's on TV just is the number one sign of normalcy for me. It's the number one thing for me that makes it feel like, okay, we're in the sequel to this movie that we were in for, 4 months. Not to be all deep and not to be all dark, but shit, it was a great weekend. Baseball getting the main stage. I loved everything about it. And then even being able to turn to NBA TV and NBC Sports Philly I get, and Yes Network, obviously, I just get to watch basketball and baseball at the same time. And it's not the basketball and baseball that we're used to. It's not the 82-game season. It's not the 162-game season. It's this rare, new, I don't even know what to call it, post-pandemic sports leagues that we're watching, and I'm just so intrigued by it. I'm loving it so far. We're only 4 days in.
And that's the other part. It's about to get so much better. Once the basketball games count, playoff hockey's playoff hockey, and that's the one time a year I lock into that. So we'll see what we get on this show as the Mets give up another bomb. Austin Riley just hit a tank, so it's now 12-1. Over at Citi Field across town. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Yesterday was awesome. Saturday was just a full slate. I think it was 12 hours of baseball. I was jumping around. Even at the end of the night, my JT UFC was in for a little bit. And I know I've been laughing at the Talking Sports Twitter, Bobby hopping in there a lot normally to take shots at my Nuggets for not taking the bubble seriously.
I am really mad at the Nuggets. I think I'm just an anti-Nuggets guy now.
You've been running hot at the Nugs. Let the Nuggets go, Nugs. Boys, let's where do we want to start? And when the Jamal Adams news came through, that's when I had my sports the white light shot out of my chest and was like, we're officially doing it. Shefty bomb, Jamal Adams. I had to I triple checked just to make sure it wasn't one of the dumb accounts doing a prank. Let's go there first, boys. I guess we'll trickle into some basketball and a little more baseball, but that was kind of a bomb.
I'll start with a question. Do you guys think the way Jamal Adams has acted, I had like a couple people I mentioned like, well, the Jets are not a good run organization. He deserves to act like that. It's like, no. We've seen, and I remember when the Giants, I hate to bring it back to the Giants, but when the Giants traded Odell, I went and looked at like all the guys who had issues with their personality and like when it started. And it was always in like year 3 when they started to become an established player, and it never got better. Now, I think Jamal Adams, like the Seahawks, the name of the game is to win a Super Bowl. They're more of a Super Bowl contender today than they were before that trade. That being said, do you guys think Jamal Adams is going to be an issue for the rest of his career? Because I really do.
I don't know. I think he's – so you saw what Le'Veon Bell had to say, right?
Yeah, and Le'Veon Bell is someone who's been through holdout. Like, he understands the business side of it, and he's been kind of like trying to be the leader on that Jets and like has been like the guy who's like taken the high road a few times. And if there's anybody on that team who had the right to go after Gase, it was probably Le'Veon because of some of the things we heard about those two.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Le'Veon, he basically came out and said, like, yo, Jamal Adams is a weirdo, bro. Like, he talked all this talk and kind of, like, wrangled me in and sold me this stuff about probably, like, yo, this is our year. Like, let's bring the team together. Jets, 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 Jets. And then he comes out and he doubles down on things that he said about Adam Gase. And I think he might have said something about Woody Johnson. But either way, I think Jamal Adams is a little bit of a head case. And as a Dallas fan, I think we dodged a bullet here. I know myself included with the entire Dallas fan base was beating the drum to make the trade for Jamal Adams. We were doing it last year at the trade deadline all the way up until right now. I wasn't expecting the Seahawks to come out and do what they did, but they paid a ransom for him. A first-round pick next year, a first-round pick the year after, a third-round pick next year, and Bradley McDougall, who's not like
he's a good starting safety.
He's not a slouch. Like, he's going to go there and play. He's going to go there and contribute. He contributed on a playoff defense last year. Like, I don't know. I would not have been down for the Cowboys to put up with the Seahawks put up for the Jets. And then I think Jamal is going to be like, he's going to be this guy that just like is outspoken, wants to be the center of attention. And don't get me wrong, he's got game. Like, his game, I guess, you know, he can be that because he is a generational talent, one of the best defensive players in the league. But I wouldn't want that on my team. Not going into this season that we're going into with so much uncertainty in this pandemic, like changing, protocols and how many things. Like, this is going to be a weird year for everyone, including the NFL. I wouldn't want that Jamal Adams stuff coming into my locker room.
That was my favorite part of the trade timeline because there was kind of like, it was the instant reaction and it was like, wow, Seahawks get a stud, but Jets got a haul. And then it was kind of Le'Veon and Adams going at it a little bit, just being dumb on Twitter. And then I liked all the other players just chimed in and they were like, yo, that other safety's a dog too. Like, I like him. And I don't know, that just made me laugh a lot. The one thing I will say is Jamal Adams had a goal and he got it. He got traded. And guess what? Since the Seahawks paid, 2 firsts and a second and a safety, like, I think he's going to get that bag. And I know, just think about all of your life, building up to become a pro football player and getting that first giant contract. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. And, hey, he's going to Pete Carroll, who I saw some of the stats on ESPN that every year he's been the head coach there, except last year they've been the top 3 pass defense or something. So he's going to a good situation. He's probably going to get paid big money by them. So, hey, it was kind of childish, but it also worked out.
Yeah, I think it'll work like year 1, maybe even year 2, because winning does heal a lot of issues. But, I mean, he's shown that anytime there's going to be adversity, he's going to be that guy. And it's a little different when you play safety compared to what, like everyone says the wide receivers are divas because it's like one of the main positions where it's like you can do awesome and you won't get to do anything on that play because somebody missed you. But I don't know. He plays a position that isn't like it's kind of being devalued, and I can't stand when people do that. But like he plays like box safety. He has 2 interceptions in 3 years. He's essentially like a linebacker. So these guys get worse. So he showed like his problem with Adam Gase was like he didn't give us halftime speeches. Like, grow up, dude. This is the NFL.
He left the locker room.
Like he'd like have other coaches do that. That's kind of like a lot of coaches do it that way. It was just I get what you're saying, Jake, where he had a mission and he did it, but that doesn't okay, I just don't like you. Like a lot of people just can't stand you and kind of see right through you. So he'll get his bag, and that's cool for him in the long run. But I
Yeah.
mean, Odell got his bag too, and he's not happy.
I guess we can say like Jamal Adams got what he wanted. He won. He got out. Like I saw his Instagram live. He's dancing around. He's playing Jay-Z. He's drinking. I'm like, this dude is a clown. He also
So was
said
Antonio Brown when he got cut by the Raiders.
right. Like
That
right
was,
now,
that was my Instagram live too. So
there's so much to be seen, dude. Like right now, like even him saying to Le'Veon Bell, like I'll see you week 14. Bro, don't write that check for the team. Like what if you don't know what Le'Veon Bell might be packing this year? Like don't write that check for the team. And we saw him in Dallas riding around. The fans said, come to Dallas. And he's like, I'm trying, bro. So, okay, you got what you wanted. You got away from the Jets. You said what you said about Adam Gase, which I thought was weird too, Bobby, because, there's position coaches and they like talk to their guys. And these are grown men. These aren't high school kids. You don't need your head coach to be the rah-rah guy. Your head coach is the head coach. Your position coach can
a lot of times that's what
like,
turns guys off is the head coach coming in and giving the halftime speech every week. And it's like, we suck. Like,
right.
we
Do
don't
you
need
think
your,
Bill Belichick is yelling and screaming at halftime No, he's figuring shit out. He's making adjustments. And then the position coaches are talking to the individual positions. So I don't know. When I saw that with him too, I'm like, this dude is just trying so hard to get out of there. He did. And the last thing I'll say about it is this, right? Some people were saying, who won the trade? Who won the trade? Who won the trade? I guess you can say Seattle or the Jets. Now, I think as of today, like a couple days after, really who won the trade is Seattle. Seattle, I think, is ready to compete in the NFC West right away this year. They get a player like that, 12th man. Like, I can see it now, like him starting a new Legion of Boom or whatever. But then when you look at the Jets, and sorry, Jets fans, I got a lot of friends that are Jets fans. We don't know. There's not even going to be a college football season. We don't know what, like, the guys coming out of college are going to look like. So if we're talking about a first-round pick, which is going to be a late-round pick because the Seahawks are going to be competitive. So let's say the pick is like 20 or later. A first-round pick in 2021, a first-round pick in 2022. Like, there's just too much to be seen with college football and who's coming out to know if like they're going to get a great haul. And historically, the Jets haven't been able to draft for shit. They've picked a lot of guys that have come and gone. Vernon Golston, D. Milliner, like there's a long list. I don't know. I can't say the Jets won that trade off of getting 2 first-round picks back-to-back years. I think as it stands today, Seahawks won the trade by getting Jamal Adams, one of the best box safeties in the league.
I will say I think the
college-
Jets should fire Adam Gase, though.
They will.
Yeah.
He's a placeholder. They will. You remember when he got hired, it was like nobody wanted to coach the Jets. Even the Cowboys coach, Mike McCarthy, he didn't want that job. Nobody wants that Jets job. You don't want to come to New York, have to deal with the New York media, and have nothing to work with. Adam Gase, which he was coming from Miami in division, I did not think he would end up with the Jets. They knew how shitty he was. You watch game film twice a year, your team against his team. But I think he's a placeholder. I think he'll be out of there in a year or two.
Isn't Gase's resume, like, if you take out that one crazy Peyton Manning year, like,
He got
trash?
coffee for Peyton Manning,
That's-
they say.
That's the thing. I've kind of changed my view on, and we'll get into this when we talk about Tibbs. I've kind of changed my view on coaching where, yes, he was good in Denver, and he got some good stuff out of Cutler with Chicago as the OC. And then I think his first year in Miami is when they went to the playoffs and Tannehill was looking really good and he got hurt towards the end. But the more I look at it, it's like, it's more about how you deal with the human individuals, obviously, like play calling and stuff like that. But if you lose the locker room quick, it doesn't really matter. And I think Gase is a guy who just doesn't have the personality to be a head coach.
Keith, the no college football season, or however it ends up shaking out, is really interesting with the draft. I hadn't thought of that yet. That's a pretty unique angle. And the other thing that I saw was that the Seahawks kind of have a history of trading away that first-round pick, and as a franchise, it hasn't hurt them too much. Even the famous Percy Harvin trade, which Percy only gave them so much, but you can also miss on draft picks. I wonder if the NFL, picks are the lifeblood, and if you do it well, they're the lifeblood. But if you also do it bad, they suck. So. They did pay a lot, and I think the funniest thing that got me, and it's part of the reason that, like, the John Boy Media success has been so good, is that, we're not WWE personalities and we don't thrive off the hot take. I saw Louis Riddick the other day, and Louis Riddick was like, you guys want to know who won the trade? Seattle got a baller, and he's probably going to ball out for them and be great. And how does that look for Seattle? The Jets got a lot of draft picks. If they draft really well, it's a good trade for them. It's like, that's the best analysis I've seen on ESPN in years.
Yeah, I think McDougal being in it, though, does change things. And the Jets drafted to replace Jamal Adams, or they have a safety and Marcus May.
Ashton Davis, too, right?
Yeah, they drafted Ashton Davis, speedster out of Cal. So I don't think the Jets, become, that much worse by losing Jamal Adams. Obviously, he's a playmaker, but it's a weird position, box safety, and he made a lot of plays. Right? McDougal is a very good safety, so I don't think the Jets went from 8 wins to 5 wins when they lose Jamal Adams.
Jets won that trade by freeing up that money. I was talking to one of my friends that's a Cowboys fan. I'm like, a first round, a third, and then we got to pay him? No way. So the Jets saved themselves some dollars by not having to pay Jamal Adams. He was already trying to crack the bank this year. I think he was going to get $4 million this year, and he's looking for way more than that. So,
and I get the well, let's see what they do with their draft pick. But at the same time, if you're not going to draft well anyways, then you could keep Jamal Adams and you're not going to be good. So right. I like it for the Jets. I like it for the Seahawks too. Like I said, the name of the game is winning Super Bowls. They become more of a Super Bowl contender from this. But I also know that I also strongly believe that 2-3 years from now it's going to end ugly.
So I understand football, but I'm not in the X's and O's. I don't really know. But I do know this. They can flash some stats about Jamal Adams that impress you. I mean, from the run defense stuff, I think he had the third most run stuffs from a defensive back position. I think he had the most pass rush stuff from a defensive back position. And I think his actual pass defense numbers were really, really good as well. Positionally, I mean, and maybe I'm trying to cross sports too much when I think about positions mattering less in even baseball and basketball. Are we seeing this in football at all? If he's just a playmaker and a baller, does it really matter if he's playing safety, linebacker, guard in the tight end? I feel like that position has become more important throughout the past couple of years between tight ends, slot receivers, and the other shit he can do. I'm
not saying that it's not important. But when you play that position, you could kind of, in a sense, avoid a guy like that. He's an awesome player. He changes. He makes you be able to do things on defense that other teams can't do. I'm not saying that, but like I said, I don't think the Jets went down 2 notches from losing Jamal Adams.
Yeah, he's a weapon on the defense. He can help you disguise your defense. The guy gets picks. The guy gets sacks. The guy is just a matchup nightmare sometimes. I don't know. With the Jets though, it's one thing to be a dog like that on a good defense. If you're on the Jaguars defense 2 years ago and you're playing like that, that's one thing. But the Jets, there were some games where the Jets got their ass kicked, and it wasn't.
Daniel Jones threw 4 touchdowns against the Jamal, and he had a strip sack for a touchdown in that game. So I know that'll get thrown back in my face. But teams did really well against the Jets defense last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that could be Jets. It's going to be interesting to see because guess what? Jets Nation also gave Jamal Adams a ton of love before all this went down. He was
the past 2 months they've
Twitter,
hated him, though.
And he was a star.
It was time.
So be interested to see if what goes on in Seattle and how he plays and how he goes down. The other note we have for the NFL is the Washington football team. I've got nothing for them right now. Get a team name. Is that all we got? Anything else?
Yeah, I actually kind of get it. They're waiting a year to figure out the name because of trademarks and stuff like that. So I know it's going to be easy for jokes, but I'm not a bunch of people. Even LeBron was like, this is the name you guys landed on. It's no, it's not. That's what they're saying. It's not the name they landed on. They just don't have a name right now because they were, their advertisers forcing them to change it right before the season.
They got finessed. Their advertisers wanted them to change the name, but then the guy that trademarked all the names is literally holding the names hostage. There's nothing they can really do. And then there's a short amount of time here. They don't have enough time. They have to report to training camp this week. And before we, leave the NFL, I'll say this, going back to Jamal Adams reporting to training camp. I was in my elevator Saturday morning, 10:30, before the news broke. 2 Jets fans come into the elevator. I say, man, tough time to be a Jets fan. They're like, no, like, repping the Jets. And I go, yeah. I go, you got issues with Woody Johnson. You got issues with Jamal and Gase. Like, how do you move forward? How do you go to camp? They're like, no, we're going to report. Jamal's going to report to camp. Everything's going to be just fine. And we're going to move forward. A couple hours later, no. And I'll say this for their GM, Joe Douglas. A lot of people are saying this is going to make or break his time with the Jets. And honestly, he came in after they hired Adam Gase. That's another reason why I don't think Gase, like, he's just a placeholder. He's not going to be there long. They had to get rid of Jamal Adams. I'm sure they got on the phone. Like I said, the Seahawks, to me, came out of nowhere. I didn't even know the Seahawks were in the top 3 or 4 teams looking for Jamal Adams. But they had to get rid of him after what he came out and said, what he was doing, because there's no way they would have been able to report to training camp in Florham Park, New Jersey this week and act like everything was all good with a guy like that. It was time. They had to get it done, and they did. So that's what happens in the NFL.
Locker room cancer is a real thing in football, and that's what Jamal Adams was.
Absolutely. He couldn't – no, the Jets would not have been able to start a new season, another home run. Ozzie Albies, the Braves are up now, 14-1. Call it. Let's move on, I guess.
Where's that mercy rule, baseball? Where's that mercy rule? We'll stay away from baseball because I got some fun basketball stuff. Obviously, Lou will. I can't believe I left Tibbs out of the intro because we actually just recorded Talkin Knicks, and I'll let you guys know my full timeline. They hired Tibbs. That's been rumored for a while. It's kind of a shrug. The guy's he's known in NBA circles. He's got the well-known for his defense mostly, leading those Bulls teams, a little bit of a falling out in Minnesota. And I don't know, my thing was like, hey, it's a shrug. He could be the best coach the Knicks had in a while. I'd like to see him bring in like an offensive coordinator type, and I think they are looking into that. We just recorded Talkin Knicks, man, and the more we got into it, the more we like the hire. And I'll let you guys see if you need to check us down or not, but the guy's got a good resume, man. I was looking back at those Bulls teams, and I was like, how much of this was due to him having prime Derrick Rose, who was a monster? And it wasn't. Like, some of those Bulls teams in the later years, I mean, it's Noah, it's Dang, it's a young Jimmy Butler getting 10 minutes. Like, some of those Bulls teams, he really coached up. And then in Minnesota, he made the playoffs every year in Chicago, which, is what it is. In Minnesota, he brought that team to the playoffs. They won 45 games, their only playoff appearance in 15 years. So I think all that being said, it being the Knicks, I'm fine with the Tom Thibodeau hiring. I'm actually a little bit excited for it.
All right. So obviously this can be like, hey, does Tibbs change some things about him? Then it works, obviously. But I also think, like, it's really hard for these guys to change the way they are. And Tibbs is known for overworking his guys. And I just don't know if that works with, you can admit, I think you can admit the Knicks are just not a good roster. I don't know how well that works, where those Bulls teams were kind of like built perfectly. I mean, he's on your team now, but like Taj Gibson, those teams worked together really well. I know he kept them up even when D Rose was out, but like, I thought those Bulls teams were just put together really well. He was the 8th seed with Minnesota. They won in a tiebreaker, didn't win a game in that.
Against your Nugs.
Yeah. Exactly. Proving my point even more. It doesn't really mean anything. And, I mean, you had Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns. I know Wiggins for all his downfalls, but he's like a pretty good talent. So I thought they could have got more out of that. And we've seen what Jimmy Butler can do to a team, what he's done with Miami. And, like, for Philly last year, he was the guy down the stretch in the playoffs. And then the way that all went down, the Heat wasn't able to contain that. And like I said with Adam Gase, I think, you watch The Last Dance and you start, like, I think the older you get, when you're young, you're like, man, this guy works people hard. These guys are soft. If they don't want to work hard, then they're not. But it's like, you know what? These guys get paid millions of dollars, and that's not real life. It's about managing personalities. Can Thibs do that? And I think because of his personality, I know the Knicks, it's like a joke about, like, they're always trying to bring in the next star. But I don't think Thibs I don't think a star wants to come play under Thibs. And we see the great coaches aren't the recycled ones. It's usually the guys that are like no names, like Nick Nurse. So I was hoping the Knicks were obviously not Jason Kidd. Like I think a lot of it for you Knicks fans was a sigh of relief that I wasn't Jason Kidd. But I would have liked you guys to see you get like the Spurs assistant or the Magic assistant, Pat Delaney or somebody like that, because I don't think the Knicks are going to have a playoff roster in the next few years, and I just think that with Thibs isn't a great combo.
So saying that over under 4 years for Tommy Tibbs as head coach of the Knicks, what do you guys think before I give my 2 cents?
Under.
Yeah, if the safe bet is unfortunately the under with the Knicks. If
Under.
you gave me 3, I'd have to think about it, but 4 is the safe.
They're going to give him at least 2 years, and then we'll see what happens in that 3rd year. And I'm a Nets fan. I'm from Jersey. I've been working in New York City for the last 6-7 years. This is going to sound like a Nets fan speaking, but think about it like this. New York is a battle, well, especially when it's like 2 teams, like Mets, Yankees, Jets, Giants. It's a battle for front page versus back page. And the Knicks had to make this like big splash hire. They couldn't go with Kenny Atkinson, right? Who I was beating the drum saying, this is exactly who the Knicks should hire. I watched Kenny come in here. Man, Kenny came in with fucking nothing. Like literally came into the Nets with nothing, no picks, no talent, and turned the franchise into a franchise that attracted Kevin Durant and KD. Like literally like got the best out of guys like Spencer Dinwiddie, who nobody really knew about or cared about. Joe Harris helped Karis LeVert reach the level that we saw Karis LeVert reach this year. That's the kind of guy that the Knicks need with the RJ Barretts, with the Mitchell Robinsons, with the Kevin Knoxes. A Tommy Tibbs could fuck around and run these guys into the ground. And I don't even want to see that as a Nets fan, because it's going to be better for the city to have a good team in Brooklyn and a good team in the Mecca. And I look at it like this. In the next 3 to 4 years of this KD Kyrie Nets show down in Brooklyn, hashtag New York forever, these Knicks fans, they're going to want to be better and be competitive. And they're going to hate the fact that the Nets are going to be getting all the front page headlines, that the Nets are going to be one of the top teams in the East for the next 3 to 4 years. It's going to be tough for a coach like Tommy Tibbs to come in, who's a hard-nosed guy, who everyone says his MO is running guys into the ground. It's going to be hard for him to come in and, like, I don't know, have white gloves treatment for some of these young kids. He's going to demand greatness. He's going to demand that they're competitive. He's going to yell at guys. I've seen a clip of him. He asked Jay Crowder if Jay Crowder wanted to meet him in the back, like he was going to fight Jay Crowder. I'm like, this kind of hard-ass guy is not going to work here in New York. New York is a tough city, but, like, they will boo you out of Madison Square Garden. And if he doesn't learn how to, like Bobby said, manage personalities and work with some of these young superstars, and then also attract NBA free agents and veterans to come in and mix with them, it's going to be a hard-ass job to coach in New York when you've got the Brooklyn Nets down there, which we don't even know who the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets is going to be. People are saying Jacques Vaughn. I don't think it's going to be Jacques Vaughn.
I hope not.
But, like, what I'm saying is it's going to be that rivalry of Brooklyn versus the Knicks. And, you know, Tommy Tibbs, it's going to be a tough maybe 2 to 3 years. And if he doesn't figure it out, he's going to be out. And they had to make that splash play with that name today. Yes, they had to hire a guy that has respect around the league, that's known literally in all of the basketball world. But I don't know if the roster on this team and who they could potentially bring in, I don't know if he's the coach that's going to be able to bring the Knicks back to any type of success or victories in the next couple of years, that the Nets are going to be killing shit.
Hey, back off. No. I mean, everything you guys are saying is right, and it's the Knicks. And, I mean, at a certain point, I can't defend them. I'll say this. You know, a lot of the things we're saying, I think you can put a couple different ways. You know, Bobby mentioned Minnesota and how that team felt like it underachieved. That franchise has constantly underachieved, even going back to KG. He's the only guy in the past 15 years that brought them to the playoffs. So when I look back at that, you know, I think I have to give Tibbs more credit than not credit.
Yeah, but people in Minnesota hate him. Like, they hate Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Good. We don't keep those Minnesota people out of New York.
And they're the
can't
nicest
handle
people in
New
the
York.
world. Fake nice, but they're nice.
You don't like Minnesota. We said that last
I don't. They're
episode,
too nice. I don't like
Um,
that about them.
Minnesota changed this year. Perception of Minnesota
Yeah.
completely.
I don't
changed.
like that fake nice. I'd rather you just be straight up and be mean with me.
Here's the 2012-2013 Bulls that went 45-37. Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, Boozer, Heinrich, a 23-year-old Jimmy Butler getting 8 a night, Bellinelli, Nate Robb, Taj Gibson. So
That's
a lot
the
of those
squad,
guys,
baby.
a lot
That
of
team
those
makes the
guys-
playoffs in the East.
A lot of those guys are
seed.
pros, but here's what I'm saying: nobody on that team averaged over 17 points per game.
I mean, I think he
RJ
did a good job with Chicago, but I don't hate Thibs. I think he's a decent coach. I just don't know if it's the right fit for your guys' roster.
But
Right.
what is the right fit? I know you can say the young guys, but, we're talking about New York being a tough town. Would you rather have Tibbs, who's been through it, ran through it, has seen a lot of it, or just a kind of a blind young assistant coach coming in? Because guess what? They get shredded even more, I think. So I'm in on it for now. I'm more excited than I was on it, to the point that I defend it to you guys, where normally I just say, LOL Knicks, like this won't end well. He's got connections to Leon Rose, and at first that scared me, but also that made me think that that's the only reason Tibbs was ever interested in the job, because otherwise I think he could have got something better than the Knicks. So I'm in on it for now. I would like to see an offensive coordinator of sorts, even maybe Mike Miller, who was been there as the interim coach. The guy seemed to like him. He won G League Coach of the Year. I do think he still needs that. And again, maybe a lot of this is coming from the fact I'm just happy they didn't sign Jason Kidd.
Yeah, that's like me when the Giants didn't sign Jason Garrett as the head coach. So before all this, where did you rank him? Because I actually like Mike Miller as an option. And, New York seems to have like some smart basketball fans where they kind of know what they're watching. So, I mean, it's not much of a case for him if I can't remember his name, but the Wizards coach is like a young guy, and he seems to got the best out of that roster where they were battling for
Charlotte's got a really good young coach.
Yeah, Charlotte's guy. That's who I meant.
There's the young guy coach argument. I think you can make it for a lot of dudes. And yeah, maybe they hit, maybe they know something, maybe they can connect to the guys better. Atlanta's got a really young coach too.
I just don't like the retreads with the young rosters. If you're, Mike D'Antoni, you put him with the Rockets, who are, a playoff team, then I'm cool with some of those guys. I just feel like the retreads are kind of stuck in their ways. And,
and
I don't know how it fits with a young roster. But
it's
Thibs is
gonna
a
be
good coach. I'm not hating on him. I just would have liked something different.
Mike Miller went 17-27 with the Knicks, which doesn't sound like much, but when you hear Fizdale went 4-18. So I'd like to see Mike Miller stay with the organization. I think what's interesting, and again, if you're into Knicks, go check out Talkin Knicks. We were really happy with this episode because, well, we weren't talking about the Knicks product on the court. But I think Tibbs changes things, man. And maybe this is a fun conversation to bring here, but we kind of landed on, I think this is going to change the Knicks drafting strategy. And I think that normally sounds lame and kind of dumb because it's, it in almost every sport, it comes back to best player available. And football, I think fit matters a little more, but we can do that another time. But I think with Tibbs as head coach, I think you got to find a guy who fits it. And again, Jimmy Butler's probably the outlier, but he was a 4-year college kid, picked 30 in the first round, and Tibbs molded that dude. And I think it's going to tie more into, and maybe it's why those Bull teams ended up fitting better. You are going to have to find some dudes that play his way. Because you're right, man. If you bring in whichever Ball brothers come, LaMelo.
Don't do it. I see Knicks fans falling in love with LaMelo Ball. Please don't.
LaMelo
I watched
and
him, man.
Tibbs.
I'm so out on LaMelo Ball.
Actually, I'd be down to watch that reality show. That's a train wreck, literally waiting to happen.
And I think this is also scary from Knicks fans' perspectives because it's literally never worked. This draft is kind of ugly at the top anyways. A lot of people aren't falling in love. I could see the Knicks, if they land at the 6th pick or the 5th pick or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move for a basketball player. I don't know what level that player is. I don't know what it looks like, but I could see them saying, all right, in RJ Barrett and Mitch Rob, we got something. To what level, we're not sure yet. Julius Randle, I can't get into that right now. He's an NBA player, but how do you fit him in with these guys? Nobody
How does
knows.
that spin move fit in?
If you can bring in an NBA body with the draft pick or some way else through free agency, and Tom Thibodeau, you can start making steps in the right direction. And the Knicks just have to do that at some point.
Obi Toppin's your guy. If you don't get a top 3 pick, Obi Toppin.
I like Obi. I think he might go top 3, man. This draft stinks.
James Wiseman, we're getting into NBA draft talk, but I like James Wiseman. I wish we could have seen more, but I do like what he does as just a rim runner. Anthony Edwards, the Georgia kid, he puts out buckets, and it's one of those things. Like, if the guy puts up buckets, don't fall in love with the guy who kills the gym workout. And then LaMelo Ball, I'm completely out on.
We're about a month away from the draft lottery. The draft lottery is August 25th. So this is all coming up. We're probably 8 episodes away from having these conversations again. And yeah, man, I don't know about this draft. It's all this stuff is wonky now. This is all uncharted territory because of coronavirus and the shutdown and what we're seeing. Like, nobody can be certain about anything. What I'll say is that the Knicks do need a culture change. I think they've been struggling to find an identity over the last few years between Phil Jackson and then we talked about Fizdale, right? Like, I didn't think Fizdale fit the Knicks and New York. Like, New York fans, like, I've been to a few games at Madison Square Garden. Their fans are the same fans that are Giants fans and Yankee fans. And they're tough fans. They know what they're watching. They demand a winner, and, they need a coach that's going to be tough, and especially in the media. I think Tommy's going to be a guy that's going to have some quotables. He's going to have some moments in the media, and they're going to need that. They're going to need that face of the franchise, even if the guys on the court are struggling a little bit, even if they don't land the best draft pick or the best free agents. They need that, figurehead that's going to be hard-nosed, that's going to be tough, that the fans can kind of rally around and believe in. So, I think they got the right guy for that. Like, they casted the right guy to act in that role.
Yeah, and that's, it just has to be your hope as a Knicks fan that with Leon Rose trying to prove himself in the front office and Tibbs coming back and a couple young bodies, you hope they're on the right way. That's enough Knicks talk for everyone. I'm even over it at this point. Speaking of, I had the segue and I lost it. I'm just going to Lou
NBA.
Williams. I'm just going to Lou Williams. My guy, 2 girls like Lou Will, leaves for what did he say? Family.
I think his
something?
father passed away, so he went to attend to that. But then I guess he was in the strip club too,
which
on the IG stories.
He said he went to a restaurant.
Yeah, it's a
and
restaurant.
Then people were making the joke that Magic City has good food in it.
Yeah,
strip clubs have the best late night food.
I saw that going around, and I do think, and this might have been a rumor, but I think Lou Will is so well known there that he has a food item on the menu, that is the Lou Williams or something like that. So I don't know. The NBA came out and they gave him 10 days of quarantine on it. More of a funny story than a lot of substance, although the Clippers are running low on dudes to play. But I don't know. Where were you boys on this?
Jack Harlow kid is what threw it all off.
Who is he?
So Jack Harlow is a rapper. He sings the song. It's you're actually hearing it on ESPN a lot. They're playing the beat on ESPN. It's like a piano, but it's what's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I could pass this like Stockton. That's his song. I don't know it. If I could rap it, I would rap it.
Bobby, second verse.
What's hopping? We popping. Jalapeno.
You got it. Yeah.
So that's the kid, and he's a white kid from Louisville.
Same.
The thing is, he says something he said, "I'm in the club with the basketball team. Me and the Cardinals are sharing a section." He's always flexing that he hangs out with basketball players. The Louisville Cardinals, I guess, were in the club with him. He posts this selfie, and it's you'll never guess where. And they both have masks on. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, idiot. One, you have a budding rap career where really you only have 2 songs. But the last time his name trended was when, I guess, Black Twitter found out that he was white. And he came out and said, he's like, yo, I've made it clear that I'm a white guy. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm black. This shouldn't shock anyone. He's got like a curly hair fro.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
He's kind of like frail
He's
body.
white. He's white.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's hanging out with Lou Will. I bet you Lou Will never hangs out with him again. And I bet you he wasn't even tight with Lou Will like that. It was kind of just like a photo op opportunity. And they weren't thinking about it because if they were actually in Magic City, they were probably in like a VIP room or something. Oh, yo, what up? Yo, let me get a flick for the gram. Boom, boom. Next thing you know, you're not thinking about it. It's like, yo, whoa, don't post that. And then Jack Harlow came out and tweeted it. He said, oh, that pic was from a long time ago. That was a throwback. Stop, man. You just made it worse. Like, we know it wasn't a throwback. What, your throwback to when? When we were wearing masks in 2015?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I just looked up Jack Harlow lyrics, and then the first one is "I'm off a tab of that synthetic." So, Big K2 guy, Jack Harlow.
Yeah. Jack
Big
Harlow.
K2 guy.
Officially a Jack Harlow pod. Bobby Bubbles, I'll leave it with you, man, because you've been in the bubble, man. I was impressed.
All you guys are doing baseball, and I'm just trying to even this freaking company out.
You said it the other day, and I think I forget if it was Friday or Saturday for you, but before that, you said, I think when this weekend rolls around, I'm going to be bubbling. And you were, man. So what's going on?
I watch my Yankees, and one, it's just this company is so saturated with baseball. It's an embarrassment. We need some kind of NBA representation.
We're all baseball guys. Like, we wouldn't even all be together if it wasn't
I understand
for
it.
baseball.
I don't like it. No, one, Dion Waiters, I texted this to you on Jake. He's totally sucked me, and I was trashing him 2 weeks ago. I'm totally back in. The guy's a lightning rod out on the court, getting buckets, putting the ball behind his back. He's fun to watch. Got into just an all-time fight with DirecTV. Finally ended up winning, even though I think they're going to end up charging me extra in the long run. And I think DirecTV's statement is like, just charge them until they ignore it.
Yes.
And I think that's really what they do, because I spent hours on the phone with them. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten better. Like, you know, the first day it seemed kind of sloppy, but these guys are playing their starters. Besides the Denver Nuggets, they're still screwing around. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know what? It's day one. Maybe they showed up to class, and it was like, you know, the Michael Scott where it's like, oh, I didn't realize we were supposed to do that type of presentation. So, but then game two, they're doing Zoom again. So I'm just assuming that the Nuggets are just a lazy organization overall. And they're giving Ball all these minutes. He didn't play a single minute all year. And now maybe it's genius. Maybe Ball is going to be what puts the Nuggets ahead.
It's the secret sauce.
Shooting a lot of shots.
Zooming it in. We go from mailing it in to zooming it in. And Bol, man, that's who everybody's talking about, because this is his coming out party. Who would have thought his coming out party is in the Orlando bubble? Like, good for that kid.
Grizzlies look real good. I'll just say that right now.
I can't wait till the games. Like, so I'm obviously in baseball land because the games count. These are on record.
What night? Friday?
What'd you say?
Thursday.
What?
Thursday's Lakers-Clippers.
Thursday's Lakers-Clippers, and their game before that, Zion show, right?
No, I think the first game is Lakers-Clippers.
The first game is Lakers-Clippers. And I know the Nets play the Magic at 2:30 on Friday. But what I'll say about the bubble is this, right? Like, I think these guys are coming along. For the Nets got their ass kicked by the Pelicans the first night. It was laughable. Like, it was like
one of the worst NBA performances I've ever seen.
We only had 9 guys. We couldn't even really run.
I think they made like 12 total shots the entire game. It was so bad.
It was terrible. But then
they refused to play Jamal Crawford in these warm-up games.
That's another thing. Come on. Like, that's the main attraction for the Nets. I guess they're saving him for when the games count. But then the Nets came out and beat the Spurs, high-scoring game, 124-119. Karis LeVert turned it on. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the bubble. I'm liking the stances that guys are taking in the media. I'm liking, you know, what these guys are putting on social media. What's the kid? Thibault from the Sixers. He's got this whole vlog on YouTube, like just started vlogging. So these guys are making the most of it. They're having fun. It's an NBA reality show. This bubble thing is history. I just can't wait to see how it changes when it gets real. I feel like once like we start playing and the games matter, there's going to be a wave, right? So there's the 8 games where we're going to figure out who's in. And then once, you know, we find out who's in, some teams are going to leave. And then it's like, I really am going to probably lock into basketball more when it's like, okay, now teams are getting eliminated. There's real competition. It's just hard for me right now with baseball because like I'm looking at the baseball schedule every morning and there's so many players and pitchers and matchups and teams that I've been waiting to see for 200-something days.
Thibault had a nasty dunk the other day too. I thought that's where
He's coming along. He's coming along.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical. The bubble's done a great job with the presentation. The presentation of the game where they have the curtains and everything. It looks good, and that's a big part of it. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I feel like the 8 games that count that lead up to the season, I think that's going to be the team's actual spring training or get ready for the playoffs. So I'm a little nervous that not a lot of those games are going to be serious. I guess the teams that are actually fighting for something, they'll turn it up a little bit. And by the way, I love the move by Jamal Crawford, who essentially comes out of retirement, shows up, and he's like, "I'll play, but I'm not playing with those dudes. Get Bol out of here."
Bro, they put up a video of Jamal Crawford and Dazin Musa is guarding him, and Rodion Kurucs are foreign guys.
I'd look good against those guys.
And he's taking them to school, and I'm like, is this good or is this bad? This is a 40-year-old guy versus guys in their early 20s, and they can't check him. He's just casually raining threes on them, dribbling around them. I'm like, is this good that we drafted these two guys and they can't check 40-year-old Jamal Crawford, or is this good that, like, now we got the God Jay crossover in a Nets jersey and he's still got a little bit left in the tank? We'll see it very soon.
Jay crossover. I don't know, boys. I mean, we can wrap up with a little baseball if you want it.
Baseball is boring.
My biggest takeaways were
baseball is beautiful.
Despite what Big Bob is saying, the guys took it seriously. It felt like the games mattered, which is cool. It's definitely going to be hot take season in baseball, like you've never believed tomorrow. Any team that went 1-2, our season's done. Call up the top prospects. Should we get rid of the manager? Any team that's 2-1, I could see ourselves walking away with the World Series this year, which, I don't know, that's kind of a fun sports world to live in.
Man, I woke up this morning and I looked at the standings and I screenshot and put it out. I was just like, all right, because people are already just, I don't know, after 2 games, and even like the Astros, right? So the Astros start off 2-0. People are like, oh my God, the Astros are so good. Here come the Astros. I'm like, they're playing at home against the Mariners. They should handle them. And then they lost today. There are no undefeated teams left. After 3 games, after everybody's played 3 games, there are no undefeated teams left. That's baseball, Susan. Now, there are a handful of teams. I mean, it doesn't matter. There are a handful of teams that are 2-1 in our own division. We're Yankee fans. The Orioles are in first place. Yankees 2-1. Rays are 2-1. In the Central, the Indians and Twins are 2-1. I'm not going to go through all of it. What I'm going to tell you is it's one series. And, yes, the weight of these games is more. They said each game is worth like 2.5. It's fun, man. And it's going to hit a weird pace in like 2 weeks. Right? Let's get like 4 or 5 series under our belts and then look at the standings. Because then there's going to be some teams that do fall out of it. But I like to see that after this first weekend, there isn't a defeated team and there isn't an undefeated team. Everybody has at least 1 win and everyone's close. And teams like the Marlins could say, yeah, they underestimated us, but we're in first place Marlins. They talked about, the Marlins are used to playing with no fans. Well, yeah, look, we won 2 games with no fans on the road. And with players, there's an interesting game going on right now with this 30-man and with this off-site. And then in 2 weeks, it shrinks down to 26. And the Yankees are already playing with it. I mean, we got some interesting moves to make because we have an embarrassment of riches. We have so much talent that it's just like, I don't know, if we need more pitching on a given day or we need hitting or whatever, we're going to see where it goes. But don't panic, Yankee fans. Obviously, we won our first series, but we were this close to not winning today. But I think it's going to hit a very interesting pace for everyone in like 2 weeks when it's like, everybody is in the middle of the pack and there's 16 teams that are going to make the postseason this year. And it's looking like, it's anybody's game, and teams that you weren't expecting to be in it are in it. And then even when you look at these pitchers, right, I talked about how like Garrett Cole had a complete game shutout. Kyle Hendricks shoved. Bieber shoved. Like, there's some pitchers out there. Jack Flaherty had a good showing. Like, there's some pitchers that came out and they looked like they were supposed to look. I still do think that the pitchers are ahead of the hitters, but then we have games like the White Sox and Minnesota Twins where they're putting up 14 runs, 10 plus runs. Like, I don't know. It's a different kind of baseball. I think it's a treat for baseball fans that are used to the whole 162 marathon. Now we're getting this condensed 60 game, 10 weeks. That's why I'm like, baseball is beautiful. I never imagined this, and I'm loving it. I'm loving watching it. I'm loving the hot takes. I'm loving the ridiculousness. The Yankee fans that, people quit the game today. Me and Joe's McFly keep pumping that 27 outs, 27 outs, 27 outs. And the Yankees came back. They needed all 27 outs. And that is the fun of it. I missed a lot of this. I missed being on edge. I missed literally hanging on every pitch, every out, like bugging out over like Glaber not clean fielding a ball. It's just good to be back. I feel like baseball having the main stage first and only like major sport that's playing right now where the games count. It was meant to happen like that. I'm so glad that Major League Baseball figured out how to be the first sport back, because it's beautiful, man. Between Thursday night into Friday, Saturday, and having full slates of games and being able to just go from MLB Network to SNY, yes, Fox Sports 1, and just watch different teams and players. I loved everything about it. And shout out to John Boy Media. Yes, we are a baseball company. You saw that. You saw that shit for sure this weekend, because we were all tweeting and clipping and giving takes and talking about the game. And I don't know, a lot of people have hit us up, even Trevor Plouffe. It was like, you guys are crushing it. And then when I go back to like our list, we have like the John Boy Media list, and I scroll through all of our profiles. I'm like, we are all talking about baseball for hours. We are all covering baseball for hours.
Disgusting.
I don't think anyone else is doing this in the world. There's no other group of people covering baseball like we're covering baseball right now.
Thank God. First time no team has started 3-0 since 1954. So
there you go.
Let me get skin stats on Talking Yanks on Thursdays going forward.
If I've got a segment called Skin Stats that got taken down early, Talking Yanks. Eduardo Nunez busting it down the line, down 13 runs in the eighth. I love it. And Bobby, I'll send this back at you first, because I think everyone got Keith's baseball excitement from that, and I love it. Bobby, is it too sports radio to say that stat you just dropped, no 3-0 teams? I genuinely do think it's because the shorter season, the games matter more, and teams are sitting there 0-2, like, holy shit, we need a win or our season's over.
I do, because, like, imagine us as fans. I was watching the Yankees game today, and, being down 2-0. Game 3, last year against the Orioles, you're down 2-0. It's like, whatever, and then you make the turn the corner jokes. But this year, it does feel like every game matters. And then, as I said, that I remember they expand the playoffs, and it doesn't matter, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, expanded playoffs. I guess we probably should have talked about that a little bit more. But I think we're already up against it, boys. And as Keith mentioned, we got baseball stuff covered pretty good. If you want to find out about that elsewhere, go check it out. Boys, good stuff. Sports are back, and we all love talking about them. And it is a little easier now that they're actually playing games. So excited. We might have to do a little bubble preview. We might have to get our takes ready for the NBA, because that'll be happening. And, man, we are really approaching the sports mecca. So I'm excited for that. Everyone keep staying healthy and stuff, so we don't have to cancel sports. And go check everything out. I know Talking Giants is ramping up. Nets, Knicks, all baseball, literally everything. So go check it out. We appreciate you. Talk sports next time.